Well, when you look at people who do help try to push resources in Detroit, we could talk about monetarily, like Dan Gilbert or somebody of that nature, and they're putting hundreds of millions of dollars into the city. Have you looked at those plans and how those blueprints worked, and have you seen results from them in a positive way, or have you found that the resources weren't used to the best possibility?
Well, I think that you have to look at a city. Anytime you're looking at a area or a city, you have to look at its major investors, right? And it's not to say that they own the city. You have to think about what are they investing in and how are they going to benefit. And so when Dan Gilbert gives or says that he's going to give, for instance, for the housing market, $500 million, give or take, you have to understand how that's going to be distributed and how the operational aspect of that looks. That $500 million operationally might look like 30 to 40%, depending on how much programming goes into really distributing that money. I don't believe that's $500 million straight cash that's going into homes, and are those homes going to be donated or put in place for those who can afford it
Like
to buy?
Kind of like gentrification type.
Exactly. So you really have to look at the plan. Now, I'm not saying that I've totally digested what that amount of money was dedicated for his housing initiative. I'm pretty sure it's all well and good, but you got to think, anybody giving money back in that amount, they get to say how they want to spend it. Nobody should be, if they're giving that much to Detroit, I don't think you should really question it. However, at the same time, you do need to understand what it is doing to the legacy Detroiters, and is it displacing them or doing anything like that. So you do have to vet the plan and be considerate. And so,
but there's nothing they can do about it besides regulate who's allowed to buy or buy the property.
No. Actually, there's a lot of things that can be done, and that's when does affordable housing become affordable at that point? Because is that money being invested to sell houses at market value, or is it being invested to give houses to families that need starter homes so that they can save up enough to get to their next house and things like that? So you really got to look at the full business model of what's going on. And so that's why media is so important, because once we go do our research, you're able to retell that story to say, like, hold on, I read the plan. This is really what it says, and this is how it's being carried out. And sometimes they'll present the plan as such and then go back and do something else. And then when it's done, now we're all looking up like, hold on, what happened? Well, so-and-so changed, so we had to change the plan. Well, why y'all ain't tell us why it was happening?
So when they're making these plan initiatives and they're like pretty much throwing money around saying like, this is how much we're investing into the city, they can make it seem like it's for a specific cause or reason, and then kind of change it in the future to make it where it benefits the people who invested in the first place.
Yeah, you see that a lot of times when they say misuse of money, misuse of funds, or like the ARPA money or demolition money at times might get misallocated, or somebody might get too much more than what they should. So that still can happen if Mr. Gilbert gives $500 million. It can get, if you don't have the right eyes on it, just like we lost $40 million over at the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy because the guy was taken out, and you had all those people, including, city council members.
Can you break that down for us a little bit?
The gentleman, I believe, I don't know his name, really shouldn't go into detail about him or anything like that, but the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy lost $40 million. 40. Now, we had members of city council, even current candidates for mayor over there sitting on the board, but it gets siphoned out and it gets pretty much stolen. And so the question becomes, what type of controls do we have in place to prevent these type of things from happening? I've sat on the board for the Lutheran churches, and they had $10,000, not from the Lutheran churches, but for Accident Common. That was a Lutheran organization. And I've already said it now, so if I get in trouble for it, whatever. But organizations like that and others have been swindled, have been taken advantage of by the banking system, because identity theft and things like that have occurred for people to be able to get access to funds and extract funds out the account. And so I'm not saying that the Riverfront Conservancy is the same as all these little people that are getting money stolen or things of that nature and getting displaced by either banking laws or practices or not having to return the money. What I am saying is the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy had $40 million. We had leadership over there watching it. It leaves. We don't have the tech to catch it. And we need blockchain and other things infused to the management and the accountability of the systems in order for that not to happen.
So a lot of corruption's happening when money is being allocated towards the city in any type of way. Is it corruption, or is it just mishandled by?
It's both. It's both. I think is you have some that end up getting their fingers wet and their fingers sticky, and then you have some that we've allowed bad actors and bad players to come into the market, and that's not good. I can't begin to tell you how many times that I've been in scenarios where, and it's not always outsiders. I think it's more so we have greed kind of takes over, and then you just have some bad players in the market that do some mischievous things. Like, I've seen all types of concerts and things go bad, and bad promoters out there. Thank God for Suleiman and others at the Right Productions who've been managing Aretha Franklin and the Shane Park Theater all this time, which is a city-owned property, but it's managed by their company. Them and others have been really keeping the entertainment game going, and I just can't thank them enough for holding the city together.
Yeah, there's people that are trying to do the right things, right? And then there's people that, like you said, see an opportunity, which is in every city. It's in every state, it's in every country. It's not like it's something foreign to happen. Which kind of brings me to a question of, if you are okay with answering this, if you don't, it's totally okay. But when we talk about people being skeptical of certain situations, obviously Kwame Kilpatrick was a person who had a little bit of both sides, where people highly praised him and some people were opposite of that. How did you feel about his term, and do you feel any of that resonance to today, where that's relatable to anybody who is running for mayor or who has run for mayors after him?
I think a lot of people got to understand Kwame was 30 when he got a mayor.
Damn.
He was young. Nobody's 30 running right now. Everybody's 37, 38 or older. Even Mary is 38. I apologize. Council President Mary Sheffield is 38. I want to respect her to the utmost.
I thought she was like 26. That's crazy.
I'm pretty sure she'll appreciate you for saying that. But no, I want to give it all the other candidates in the race the utmost respect. And I truly admire her for all the things that she's trying to break barriers for. I ran for city council 15 years ago before anybody of that age had ever made council. So that was when I was 24. Kwame had just finished his old tenure as mayor. I got the same questions 15 years ago.
Right on.
So his legacy, whether people see it as good or bad, he was the first of his kind. He was the hip hop mayor. And so we have to consider what that means. Our hip hop mayor got taken down.